We want to thank the great people of Iowa. Thank you. We love you all.
This morning, a Democratic victory in Iowa is giving that party a glimpse of hope as the country moves toward the midterms. Democrat Caitlin Dray won the Iowa Senate 1 special election, breaking the Republican supermajority in Iowa. Dray won the seat by 10 points, and it's notable because Donald Trump won the same district by 11 points in November.
Oh, that's gotta hurt!
It turns out that the MAGA stronghold in the heartland isn't so strong after all, as Democrat Caitlin Dray has pulled off a shocking upset in the special election for the state Senate District 1, flipping a reliably red seat and ending the Republican supermajority there.
This notion that Republicans are coasting right now and the wind is beneath the sails of Donald Trump is just not borne out by what's really going on the ground. And you can see it just today that Joni Ernst is not going to run for re-election in Iowa. She is someone who is very popular. She's talked about for leadership roles. Suddenly, she's not going to run. And what's really interesting is earlier in the week, there was a special election in Iowa State House, a seat that went with Trump 11.5 points, 20-point swing in the other direction, and now the Democrat has broken the Republican supermajority. The polling on the generic ballot has Democrats up 5 to 8 points. Mike Johnson, and God bless him that he keeps going out there and doing media. He was embarrassed on our air with Bill Melugin and Dana this morning talking about crime in Republican states. And he was on CNN, and John Berman says to him, you know, what are you going to do? The BBB is hugely unpopular. He says, oh, well, the provisions aren't. And then John Berman reads out the provisions, cutting SNAP, cutting Medicaid, tax cuts for the rich, all underwater. That is what the midterms are going to be about. It's not looking that peachy for Republicans.
So in other words, you're saying the DNC and this Ken Martin, who's kind of like the Barney Fife of Democratic leadership here, he's the outlier. And really, you're saying things are going well,
no,
but
I'm
this whole thing is performative?
To go back to what Greg was saying, where you have 0% of Democrats that are happy with how it's going, they're going to show up and vote. That's what it's partisanship. It's pure partisanship. They will show up to oppose the Republicans and the Republican agenda, which is going to hurt everyday Americans.
Trump may be quickly trying to dismantle democracy, but voters are just as quickly trying to rebuild it. The win of the Democrat in Iowa in the state Senate seat there cannot be overstated. She beat the Republican by 11% in a reliably red district. And the fact is that we as a democracy cannot give up red states. They have to become purple because states have a lot of control over our elections. This is how our system works. Elections are state by state. And we see what has happened in Texas with Governor Abbott. If they want to gerrymander in a way in order to try to win more states, one, they may not do it so successfully, but it is up to the state. If you take away even one seat, as that just happened, the Republicans no longer have a supermajority there. That means every legislation that they try passing, whether or not it's something attacking transgender, whether or not it's something that takes away an American worker's right, whether or not it is something involving our elections, it will now be that much harder to do it. This is how we strengthen our democracy. By state Senate seat, by state Senate seat, by state representative or assembly person, whatever that state calls it, one seat at a time, chipping away at the red state's power to make them more purple, or at least slow them down from continuing to pass legislation that harms our democracies and American workers.
You brought up polling when they asked people about specific provisions. Fox News, where I think you're headed later, they did ask about specific provisions. Absolutely right. No tax on tips. The majority approved, 70%. Defense spending, majority approved, 61%. Everything else they asked about, though, underwater, right? End EV tax credit underwater, boost Medicare work requirements underwater, increase border wall spending underwater, increase detention center spending underwater, solar and wind incentives end them underwater, reduce SNAP benefits underwater, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm not buying that. Polls can be manipulated. We have seen a string of polls over and over that many of those, every one of those provisions, in fact, that you said, are popular. We want to reduce fraud, waste, and government, fraud, waste, and abuse in government. We want to reduce the size and scope of government. These things, people not in agreement. And I've been in town halls around the country over this break, 12 states in the last week. And people are standing and applauding for what we've done. So look, I tell you, the facts are going to speak for themselves, the results and the things that people experience. And that's why we're excited about the midterms coming up. We're going to win this.
Former President Barack Obama is being more vocal, specifically around elections. He complimented Governor Gavin Newsom about the strategy in California to combat what they are doing in Texas in terms of diluting the rights of voters in an entire country. He also put out a post saying, here's some good news. Caitlin Dray won a special election this week to flip a seat blue in the Iowa Senate and break Republican supermajority. This seat had been in Republican hands for 13 years. When we are organized and support strong candidates who are focused on the issues that matter, we can win. Let's keep this going. Again, she won by 11%. And perhaps this will be a playbook for Democrats, that it matters who the candidate is that is put forward. And there are some really exciting candidates around the country, including the one who's going after Susan Collins in Maine, Mandami in New York, who are hyper-focused on what can be done for the American workers and not about what kind of organization is giving them money.
Thanks to tax cuts and higher wages.
Higher wages? Oh, come on. For who? For you? Cost of living is higher than it's ever been.
Give a few remarks and then I'll be happy to take your questions.
Oh,
Start telling the truth.
Stop lying.
Stop lying. Stop lying. Stop lying. Stop lying.
So I look forward to your questions.
Stop lying.
But
Lies.
one thing that
You have every right to object to those decisions. But to treat them with this courtesy, I'm embarrassed for all of them.
We almost finished the long list of things that we've done to flood mitigation.
Now,
surprising. You need to chill, my man. That's what regular people want to hear about. They want to hear why we're not flooding. Let's go elsewhere on a different platform, and by all means, you can let them.
So people realize that how money is corrupting in this country, but surely situations like this make people realize that even if you get better financing, if you have a good candidate, if you have a good message, if you are truly representing people and speaking about the issues they care about, regardless if you're a Republican or a Democrat, in whichever area those voters exist, you can still win.
The speaker told me from what he's been hearing, he thinks that the huge legislation, what the president was calling the big, beautiful bill, he thinks is wildly popular, even though the polls show it's the least popular piece of big legislation since 1990. What did you hear when you were knocking on all those doors?
I heard frustration overwhelmingly. People in my area are concerned about their Social Security benefits. They're concerned about what happens even if they're not utilizing Medicaid. What happens when Medicaid is defunded to our rural and semi-rural hospitals like the ones in my area.
New Meidas merch. Head to store.MeidasTouch.com today and get yourself the best pro-democracy gear and show your support. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.